Okay, I'd like to call tonight's select board meeting to order. It's Monday, April 27th. As usual, if you're able, would you please stand and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just want to alert everybody that one of our select board members is in attendance via Zoom, and hoping that Becky is going to monitor Kate in case Kate has something to say. Kate, make noise, get the air horn out when it takes, okay?
Yep,
Um,
will do.
We will start with the public hearing. And I'm gonna turn it over if Bo is ready. We'll start with our planning board section of the ordinances. Quick run through and see if we need to make any more changes.
Okay, Article 3, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 106 Rules of Construction be enacted? It's Exhibit A.
Everybody find Exhibit A. Are there any questions specifically about Exhibit A? Okay, Bo.
Article 4, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 301 General Provisions be enacted? It's Exhibit A as well.
Correct. Section 301. What page is that on?
Page 1 of Exhibit A. Yep, and there also is a synopsis, which has sort of a simplified description of what these changes make. And then our CEO is arriving and he can answer any questions as well.
Okay. Seeing no questions, Bo, next question, next one.
Article 5, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 304 Non-conforming Lots of Record be enacted?
Section 304 is found on page 2. Are there any questions about Section 304? Okay.
Article 6, an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 400 Definitions be enacted.
Section 400 is on page 3, 4, and 5. Any questions about? Oh,
Article 7, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 501 Establishment of Zoning District be enacted?
that's found on page 6, 7, 8, 9. Questions? Oh,
Article 8, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 504 Zoning Districts be enacted?
504 is found on
Page 6.
questions? 504.
Article 9, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 601 Driveway and Driveway Entrance be enacted?
That's found on page 14. Any questions about? Oh,
Article 10, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 604 Mobile Home Parks be enacted?
page 15. Any questions about that? Oh,
Article 11, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 605 Single Lot Ordinance be enacted?
On page 15. Questions about single lot? Vote.
Article 12, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 609 Manufactured Housing be enacted?
Again, on page 15, questions about 609? Vote.
Article 13, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 610 Public and Private Roads be enacted?
Found on page 16. Questions about 610?
Article 14, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 613 Floodplain Management be enacted?
Page 16 and 17. Questions about that? Vote.
Article 15, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 615 Accessory Dwelling Units be enacted?
On page 17, 18, a little bit of 19. Any questions about that? Yeah.
That's the zoning ordinance, not the building ordinance. The building ordinance.
I'm sorry, zoning ordinance, correct. You are correct. I was wrong.
Any other questions? Vote.
Article 16, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 801 Applicability be enacted?
Page 19. Questions? Vote.
Article 17, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 807 Criteria and Standards be enacted?
Page 19 and 20. Any questions? Vote.
Article 18, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 901 Purpose and Review Criteria be enacted?
Page 20, 21, 22, a little bit of 23. Any questions? Vote.
Article 19, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 902 Authority and Administration be enacted?
Page 23. Questions? Vote.
Article 20, shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding Section 904 Review Procedure and Submissions for Minor Subdivision be enacted? Section 904.
That needs to be struck, right?
Yeah.
I took that one out. So did we take the wrong thing out of the
I just,
exhibit? Hang on, we're trying to line up the exhibit to the,
The article be struck?
so the one we struck was the 750-foot requirement. So we took that out of the exhibit and it was the one that I took out of the warrant. Did we accidentally delete too much when we were doing our edits, Tim? Or is that the one that, did I miss the wrong article?
Wouldn't section 20 be struck from the warrant? Article 20, I mean?
Fourth, struck.
Okay,
any changes to it?
Looks like it's 902.
so, okay, well, no, 902 is Article 19. Okay. All right, sorry about that.
Well, that's okay. Good to catch it now.
Yep,
So Article 20 is struck.
yes.
You can make a suggestion. You can make a suggestion.
Extra space
between landowners and under.
I'm sorry, but can you come to the microphone, Marcia? Sorry. We have people on Zoom too, so they can't hear you. It's okay.
Yeah, Bowen, 115 Royal Road, on page 22, under 21, there's just an extra space in that paragraph, an extra line that's blank. Can you just-
This isn't the language
Okay.
that, we didn't want to print the whole 130 page
Right, right.
edited document, so we just kind of created a simplified version.
right.
Yeah, so what's
So
gonna.
I guess it will be,
This won't be going in. We already actually have a working copy that has all the corrections that the edits are.
Okay.
Fine, but thank you. Yep.
All right, so have we reviewed Article 20?
No. Shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Zoning Ordinance of the Town of Pownell, Maine regarding section 909 variance and waivers be enacted?
Page 24, instructions about 909. All right. Good, that's the color, if we're okay. Becky, you got any suggestions at all?
No, I'm just double checking both exhibits because I know I removed an article, so I'm just trying to backtrack a little bit.
And the articles will have to be renumbered.
Yeah, because I did renumber them already because I removed one last week. So I'm just trying to make sure I didn't remove a wrong one here as I'm just double checking both.
Yeah, because we just,
908.
And it wasn't the.
Yeah, it wasn't in this one either. And that was the one I thought was that 750 foot. I think I have a copy of the previous one. All right, I gotta just match some things up when I look at my computer later this week, but. Okay.
Synopsis is correct, and your proposed ordinance revisions are correct.
Yeah, I believe so, right, Tim?
Well, the synopsis has 908 of it. I haven't seen 908 anywhere. It should have 908.
All right, so,
So I see 902 to 909.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, you're right.
so does that mean that Article 20 becomes the language for 908?
Article 20, yeah, should be 908 and not 904, so that's my mistake for taking the wrong one out.
Okay.
So 908 is the performance standards conservation subdivision, adds reference to that's right, adds reference to comprehensive plan, better defines the required distance between the roads. It's just those two things.
Sure.
All right, so I will fix that. Thank you.
See if I'm going to renumber everything.
I don't have to renumber it, at least.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, on to the capital improvement article found on page 4 of the warrant.
Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $162,000 for the capital project fund.
Any questions about Article 22? Oh,
Article 23, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $276,500 from the capital projects fund for the purchase of the following items and to authorize the select board to take all actions necessary to complete such purchases. Public Works excavator, $232,500. Flail mower attachment for excavator, $44,000.
any questions about Article 23? Oh,
Article 24, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $4,164 from the dedicated tax increment financing TIF General Ledger Fund G-3-1530-00 and to raise and appropriate $743,943 for a total appropriation of $748,107 for general government for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
so for this one, Becky, you're going to have an explanation of why we're.
Yes, I don't know what detail I put, what is this, Article 24? So in the warrant narratives, TIF revenue are also being utilized towards the town administrator's salary as allowed with our approved TIF district. I can expand if you want a little bit more.
No, it's just a little complicated.
Yep.
Sure that we don't get bogged down in what's a TIF.
Mhm.
Why is it an article and why is it in other articles and
Yep.
any other questions about Article 24? No?
Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $12,500 for human services for the 2026, 2027 fiscal year.
Questions about Article 25? Oh,
Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $43,520 for Mallet Hall for the 2026, 2027 fiscal year.
any questions about Article 26? Where is where will the explanation of the heat pump for the Historical Society come? Will it
That's-
come at the town meeting?
That's what you're gonna talk about tonight in the regular meeting, about their request and how they want to pay for their portion of the electricity. So that's not currently budgeted in this amount right now. So I don't know if you want to talk with Craig now about that during public hearing, or do you,
Appropriate.
what's up? Absolutely. Yep. Not sure. if-
Right. Could you step up to the, we're at Mallet Hall and we'd like to talk a little bit about the heat pump. Yeah, could you come up and sit with me for a minute? We are right in the Mallet Hall budget and I want to talk about the heat pump for the Historical Society. So we need to question you a little bit.
So you can be on the microphone. Oh. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I just turned it on. Sorry, it's my name.
Greg. So Craig, right now we're reviewing Article 27, which is about Mallet Hall. And Becky has informed the board that the Historical Society has a request to install a heat pump.
Yes.
Okay, so we'd need to know some financial details about that to include it. Okay. Could you just identify who you are and?
Okay, Craig Dietrich, the president of Pownell Scenic and Historical Society. Because of the need in an archive and a library and a museum for climate control, which we haven't had for many years in there, and getting moldy and of course, it's well-known fact that for preserving papers and so forth, you need a climate control. So our answer in talking to various people and so forth is to get a heat pump. And the solution that sort of emerged from this, because the town is installing a number of heat pumps, apparently toward at the end of May is when this is going on. We contacted the supplier of this, ABG Heating and Plumbing, to see if when or after that installation is complete for Mallet Hall, he could install a quote unquote private or heat pump for Pownell Scenic and Historical Society. We did receive an estimate from them, and I have 3 copies to hand around for the board to look at. The estimate is premised on the fact that they will be doing it at the time that they do, or shortly after they do the Mallet Hall one, and that will save some labor costs and so forth, since they're already on scene with their electrical hookup and so forth. And so the estimate they came up with was a little over $6,000 for us. And I have here, I can pass it around, but I'm reading from our minutes from the directors of the society on, when was that? On April the 14th. The secretary, Fran Drizzy, made a motion to purchase this $6,048 heat pump. The motion was seconded and unanimously approved. Fran also made, well, that's for the heat pump. And so that is where we are as far as simply purchasing the heat pump, is that we have desire to do it. We have contact with ABG Plumbing and heating, not heating and cooling to do it. And so we're asking permission from the town to go ahead and do that.
By asking permission, does that mean that the Historical Society is going to fund it themselves?
Okay, yeah, we are funding it ourselves. It's not paid for at all by the town.
So, all right, so that complicates things a bit. So what is the protocol for the select board allowing renovations to Mallet Hall without incurring any kind of fiscal responsibility to the town? I mean, I've never been in this situation before.
Right, because the electricity is still gonna fall under the Mallet Hall bill, which is funded by the town.
But the installation, I mean, we'll have to talk about electricity afterwards, Bo.
If the money were given to the town as a gift, and for the purpose of doing that, then I think we annually have an article that allows you to accept gifts and spend it for the purposes of those.
That would make it a far more, from my perspective, far more used, for lack of a better word, constitutional authorization to renovate this building through the acceptance of a gift or a donation. Would the Historical Society be willing to, George, what do you think of?
Sounds good to me.
Kate, what do you think of that idea? Do you understand the?
Yeah, I agree with to some extent the concern over the cost of electricity going forward, but yes.
So would the Historical Society be willing to present the town of Pownell a gift of $648, and with the understanding that the town will?
That should be 6,048, Jeff.
6,000.
Sorry. With the understanding that the town will turn around and then install the heat pump
Yes, yes.
through the contractor. I think the contractor would be grateful probably for that same kind of streamlining.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Bo. It's a good suggestion. So then the board has to decide on the yearly electric bill.
Can I address that?
Please.
We talked around to various people about that, and it's not a simple, easy thing, or even easily possible thing to measure how much electricity we would use. And the idea was floated, and we agreed to do this, to gift to the town $500 a year. And so that at that same meeting, The, our secretary also made a motion, I'm reading this from our minutes, that we donate $500 per year to the town to cover our use of the Mallet Hall electricity. The motion was seconded and unanimously approved. So we are prepared to do that
So that would be two different gifts.
gifts.
That we would have to acknowledge in our
Revenues?
revenues.
Can we do it in revenues, or will the article that you're talking about, Bo, cover that? So we have an article, and hang on, it's in the business articles.
I
Yeah,
I think if they're structured as gifts, that would fall under that, as long as there's clear language as to what the gift is to be used for.
That's Article 50.
Mhm.
So you would have to, we don't have to put it in Article 50, but we should remark during the meeting to the public. Those gifts are being given by the Historical Society, so they'd be put in the minutes of the meeting. We want to make sure there's some written documentation that the Historical Society has bequeathed $6,048 for heat pump and $500 annually for electric costs.
Okay.
Right? Oh, is that past muster?
I think that's fine. I just, the timing, though, it sounds like the work is going to go in May,
Correct.
which is the current fiscal year. So we just fall under last year's article. You know, so it's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Just need it in the minutes.
Yep.
I mean, it needs to be recognized in the minutes, so we will say that it is a past due gift, a delinquent gift. Last year's expense, accept it, as long as the Historical Society does not mind having their reputation besmirched.
It's not my first delinquency, so I guess.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, good.
Mike Pascarello, Lawrence Road. I don't want to muddy the waters here. It's a wonderful thing that they're doing. And it won't probably be an issue until 2 or 3 years out, but heat pumps do require maintenance. And I would assume that when the town hall has maintenance there, that, and I don't know if that's in there, but I just thought I'd mention it.
Sure, the town will wrestle with that, Mike. when Time comes.
Thank you.
Probably have a service agreement for all of the heat pumps, and
Would limit the cost.
I think that, well, I think town would probably assume the service agreement, just as a donation to the Historical Society's good work.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Michael. All right, well, thank you. I
So we're done here?
think
I'm
we're
done.
done with you.
So just one final thing, Craig, we still need that invoice separately, though, because the heat pumps that I'm having done is under a grant fund. So I still have to keep the billing separate when it comes time. So we'll just communicate with ABG between me, you, and the contractor to make sure that we get the
We
invoice
have
number.
received their like down payment invoice. I can share that. with
Okay,
And we were happy.
okay, great.
Are you sure that's all you need?
That's all I need.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so it does not impact Staley thought it may impact, but since it doesn't, we can move on. Thank you for your patience, Bo.
Okay, so we're on to Article 28, I believe. Article 28 to see, excuse me?
27.
Uh,
We haven't done public safety yet.
do-
We were just on Mallet Hall, which was this one.
Picky. Okay, Article 27, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $2,679.26 from the dedicated FEMA Grant General Ledger Fund G1 420300 and to raise and appropriate $268,417.74 for a total appropriation of $271,097 for public safety for the 2026-27 fiscal year.
Okay, Article 27, public safety. Jesse?
Jesse Peters, Allen Road. I just wanted to verify that the money that we talked about in the last hearing was added to the public safety budget,
Yes.
$10,000.
Yes, the 10,000, because if you look down, the budget committee recommends to the select board 261,097,
Mhm.
which was your original,
Okay,
and then
thank
yeah,
you.
theirs is 271,097. Yep.
Thank you.
Go, Jess. So, have there been any conversation about contracts between the two? Do we know whether or not the towns have accepted them formally at board meetings?
They are waiting for our lawyer to write the contract to present to both of them.
All right, so I'm gonna have to amend this. I'm gonna have to add $30,000 to this particular line item, just in case these parties do not agree to your contract. So if we have to go somewhere else. So I'm going to amend this to say the select board recommends $301,097. Yes.
And under the list of requests,
Public safety,
public safety,
first line.
does that change as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so the total changes as well.
Yep, I gotta fix that. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have that, Becky?
Yep.
So the first item will be 76. And the difference will be different, the percentage will be different.
Yeah, I gotta fix that on the bottom right there.
So we will know hopefully by town meeting, and we can amend it down.
You understand, we can't, the select board can't go into town meeting not knowing that it will have some coverage. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to see if it should be up to 301,000. If you don't know what the amount is, if you don't know.
So this money, the fire chief knows the exact amount if the contract is signed with North Yarmouth and Durham. But if those contracts aren't signed, then an alternative, which would be Yarmouth, would be $30,000 more. We're just gonna have to throw that out there, and then what they don't use, we'll have to go back and unassign fund balance next year.
Okay.
Just have to cover the town.
Or if, like Jesse said, if we do have the contract signed before a town meeting, the town could vote it down to 30,000 at that point, so.
Slight.
I guess my point though is that if we don't know whether the contract is signed by the time we get to town meeting, but we do know that it's signed by the time you get to set the tax rate. If you say up to 300,000, you can reduce it at that point, and you would be committing less to the taxes as a result of that, rather than higher amount to the taxes and then having it roll into surplus.
Becky, what do you think about that?
That makes sense. It gives us two options. So if we know by town meeting, we have the option to amend on the floor to the lower amount if both towns have agreed. If we don't, but it happens, say, July 10th, then the up to allows us to not use that money and not tax people on it. Yep, makes sense. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Bo.
So it would say raise and appropriate up to.
Up to.
Gotcha.
Kate, did you have a question?
Thank you, Bo.
She thanked you.
Oh, you're welcome. Ready for Article 28?
Yes.
Article 28, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $41,228.70 from the dedicated FEMA grant general ledger fund G1420300 and to raise and appropriate $876,124.30 for the total appropriation of $917,353 for public works for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
Any questions about Article 28, Public Works? Oh,
Article 29. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $186,890 for solid waste for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
questions about Article 29? Oh,
Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $6,005 for the Pownell Center Water Association for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
questions about Article 30? Oh,
Article 31, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $8,500 for cemeteries for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
questions about Article 31? Oh,
Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $257,356 for debt service and other obligations for 2026-2027 fiscal year.
any questions about Article? Get lost. 32. Oh,
Article 33, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 for the Recreation Committee Enterprise Fund. Excuse me.
about Article 33. Oh,
Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,500 for the installation of PFAS filter system and annual testing for 2 properties located near the former landfill pursuant to an agreement between those property owners and the town.
question about Article 34. We're gonna have a little explanation about that. Oh,
Article 35, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $200,000 for from unassigned fund balance for repairs to the sand and salt shed building.
about Article 35.
We should be, they were hoping to get their assessment wrapped up and sent to me by the end of this week. They were hoping to have it done last week, but it wasn't quite ready. So we'll know a rough figure. So hopefully we'll know across in the next week or so.
Oh, Article 36.
Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $2,000 for the North Pownell Community Outreach Center.
Questions about Article 36. Tim, will the North Pownell Community Outreach Center have a representative at the meeting to explain their request? Thanks. Any questions about 36? 37?
Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $5,000 for the Economic Development Committee account for the following purposes: outreach and engagement, informational materials, communications, and small-scale events or workshops.
About Article 37? Oh,
Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 for legal fees specific to the potential reconfiguration of Pownell Elementary School with a possible separation from Regional School Unit Number 5, with such appropriation to be made into a separate account, the balance of which shall not lapse into unassigned fund balance at the end of the 2026-2027 fiscal year or any other fiscal year until the purpose of the account has been achieved in the sole and exclusive discretion of the select board.
so we've gone through the attorney on this.
He wrote it.
You wrote it. Okay, so any questions about Article 38? Is there a, so there's a out clause if everything gets resolved and we're not gonna withdraw, then this goes back,
To unassigned funds.
we'll go to the select board.
Correct.
Any questions about Article 38 at all? 39?
39, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board, 1, to issue general obligation bonds or notes in the name of the town of Pownell in a principal amount not to exceed $4 million, which bonds or notes may be callable to pay costs to design, construct, and equip a new fire station and public works facility, the project. 2, to expend up to $550,000 of available tax increment financing revenues to pay project costs. And 3, to apply for and accept state and federal grants, including up to $4 million in federal congressionally directed spending funds to pay project costs and reduce the amount of bonds or notes issued for the project. If the town does not receive the CDS funds, the town will not proceed with the project or issue any bonds or notes for the project.
Questions about Article 39?
You have a memo from the Future Facilities Committee in your packet that they sent to the select board on April 22nd, talking about wording for Article 39, asking if we could add, if the town does not receive CDS funds, the town will not proceed with issuing bonds or notes until such time as the financial balance of the project has been obtained. Adding that language to the article.
Where am I? Article 39.
So right here, the memo looks like this.
Transfer.
So you have an Exhibit C and then you have a memo. The memo is a separate document that looks like this, John.
So
Oh, like this. Yes, they sent that on April 22nd with that wording I just read.
Becky, excuse me.
Mhm.
Those warrants on that memo, those may be numbered incorrectly.
I think I fixed them, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, yep. No, I went back, instead of asking you to do it, I just quickly went in and edited it. When we removed that warrant article, it changed yours to 3940. And so I changed it on the memo and on your exhibit. Hopefully, I changed it on both.
Yeah, this doesn't pass with me because if it's a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year process, funding is all, I mean, we know how funding changes year to year. No. Does Kate have this? Kate?
Yes, she does have a copy of that.
yeah,
Okay, what do you think?
I mean, is this the language that we discussed last time? Because,
Now, we did discuss it last time, extending it out into infinity is inappropriate, at least. From my perspective, I'm one of three. George, what do you think?
So I know there was some discussion at the last future facilities meeting where they didn't want the appearance of that if we didn't get funding this year, that we weren't gonna execute it. And with people's general knowledge of the votes being good for like up to 5 years, they're just trying to make sure that it is open, that we're gonna continue to apply for grant money. And so if, say, next year we get a large sum of grant money that makes it economically feasible for the town to do it, then we'd execute the bond then. I still go back and forth because I personally think the attorney wrote it in such a way that it doesn't really give a timeline. So that way, if we do get the funding next year, it just doesn't say that it's not gonna be executed at a time frame.
Becky, what's your thought?
So the attorney did say you don't want to put any sort of timeline on it because you don't want an expiration to come and go when you're still working on it. That was his advice.
Kate, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Um,
I was trying to review what was discussed the last time, and I think that was one of the things that was said in coming up with the language.
We had the words this fiscal year at the end of it, and we felt that was restricting it to just the 1 year, so we struck
Yeah.
that, right?
we also talked about Stephen Hawkins and, the arrow of time here. So I think if the project is gonna stand up, then we should be able to discuss it in 3 years again. Because the costs are gonna be different, so different. And since it's soft money that's gonna pay for half of this, and we really don't know, I don't think you can hold, it's my perspective. Yeah, Jesse.
So this language kind of came out of the discussion that happened at the last hearing. When we talked about how, it says that if we don't receive the congressional funding, then the project basically stops.
No, That isn't what the warrant item says at all. Warrant item says the money will not be issued until the funding is provided.
Yeah, it says, if the town does not receive CDS funds, the town will not proceed with the project.
That's correct.
So
Unless, unless.
so to me, that means we stop. We don't do anything more on the project. And I think that was the worry.
That's not the nature of the article wording. It just means that we're trying to reassure the town that we're not going to go ahead without funding.
Correct. I agree with that.
Any language that muddies that is just going to be a dagger to this warrant. We want to make sure that people are assured that money they're authorizing in bond is in a marriage with grant funding. And that's how this project is forward.
Yeah.
We'll not move forward unless we have grant funding. I think if you infer that this bond will linger in the budget atmosphere until which time, 20 years from now, I don't think anybody in their right mind would say that the bill will still be, $4 million. I think you want to be confident enough to know that the town is behind this project, but you also want to be transparent enough to let them say that, in 3 years, we might have to revisit this. Okay? That's just my perspective, and, we'll have to talk about it when we come out of budget hearing. But I'm not in favor of this at all. Thank you.
So Becky, may I?
Susan would like to speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
And I think my understanding is that the bond would only be we would only be able to execute the bonds for 3 or 4 years. Becky, you and I talked about this, so it's not an open-ended for 5 to 10 years from now.
I don't recall that the lawyer said that there was any timeline on the bonds, that if we didn't get funding for 3 or 4 years, we could still get the bonds. And I might have used that 3 or 4 years as an example, but he didn't specifically say if the town approves this article that we can go for the bonds. So if you don't get the CDS, sorry if I keep backpedaling on my sentence, if you don't get the CDS funding this year, but you do next year, then we could go for the bonds.
Right.
Or maybe it's 2 years out that we finally get the CDS funding, all of it. I think I get Jesse's interpretation on that last one and how he can see what it says, but I think the intention is that the town is not going to proceed on any bonds to make up any difference until we get that 4 million in CDS funding too. I think that it's trying to assure the town that if we got 3 million in CDS funding, then we're going to try to go for bonding above and beyond. We're trying to set those hard perimeters that if you approve this project, once we get that 4 million in CDS funding, we're going to go forward with that 4 million.
But what
I can see the interpretation both ways.
What if they give us 3 and we raise the rest in fundraising?
That isn't what this article says. You gotta be really clear when you write an article. That isn't what the article says. The article says that you're going to bond 4 million and you're gonna get 4 million from a grant. Well,
It doesn't. It says up to $4 million.
now you're parsing, okay?
But the point is that if you only got $1 million, the way it's worded right now, you could still proceed with the bonding.
That isn't how I see that. I see it as.
If you excluded the words up to and just said including $4 million, or specifically $4 million in federally congressional spending. If you're saying that we've got to get at least $4 million to go ahead, which I think is the intent.
So the intent between the fundraising and the congressional grants that we would get what we need to do the $4 million bond.
So the intent isn't for the CDS to be 4 million.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. So I see Bo's point, including the up to 4 million. I thought the intention was in order to go for the bonds, 4 million in CDS funding had to be secured.
That was the presentation to the board, that they were
Right.
applying for $4 million in CD.
And then the fundraising was going to offset any potential bonding.
We did ask for the 4. We don't know that we will get that or any. So the fact is we don't want to ask the town to bond any more than 4, period. But we want to be able to move forward if there are other avenues, if we get other grants, if we have wonderful fundraising, that we could move forward. So we're still not asking the town for any more than this 4 million.
What,
Totally non-transparent.
my question is, in reading this, is what is the trigger point for issuing the bonds? Is it raising a minimum of $4 million from state and federal grants, regardless of their source?
That wasn't how it was presented. Correct me if I'm wrong, George and Kate, that wasn't how it was presented to the select board. It was presented to the select board that they were applying for $4 million in CDS grants. And that would trigger the bond issuing. There was no additional fundraising, there were no bottle drives. It was a very clear grant request.
Okay, well, the language here says to apply for and accept state and federal grants, including the $4 million. So you could, or up to $4 million of CDS funding. So that to me is saying they're going to come up with $4 million through grants, CDS funding or state or federal or whatever.
Tim.
So where it says to apply for and accept state and federal grants, could you say, and any other privately donated funds? And it's still, to me, when I read it, it still says we're only going to borrow up to 4 million. The rest is going to have to come from somewhere else.
I understand that, Tim. The question, I think Bo articulated really well, is so what's the trigger point where we start bonding this? Is it we get $1 million in CDS grants? Do we then move forward and bond and accept and expect other things? It's just unclear. And when you're talking $4 million,
The way I read it is up to, we're going to bond up to $4 million. That means if we raise through grants and donations $5 million, we bond $3 million.
I understand that. But when does the town?
When the other funds are secured.
But that isn't what,
Doesn't say that.
I don't think it says that. Becky, what do you think?
So the first part, we talk about the bonds, it says in a principal amount not to exceed 4 million. So there's no up to as far as the bonding goes. It's just saying we can bond, well, in a sense, up to 4 million, but we can't exceed 4 million in bonds. And then the state and federal grants, including up to 4 million in federally congressionally direct expended funds. If we were going to accept donations, even though we have the pass-through or the donation article, I think in this case, we would want to include language. But you're right, what is the trigger point? I thought that, for me, I thought the trigger point for bonding was getting 4 million in CDS funding. And then the cost of the project is estimated right now to be a little over 7 million. Is that correct? Projected through the end of next year. 7.12 projected through the end of next year, which is why we included the not to exceed 4 million because of the cost of everything is kind of rising. We don't know, in a year or two what that might look like. Do I have kind of the pieces?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
because the whole point of rushing this to the town meeting this year was the CDS grant.
Mhm.
Oh,
Um, if it read, to expend up to $550,000 from available TIF revenues to pay project costs, and I have to think about it more, but what I'm trying to get at is if you set a minimum alternative funding source of state, federal grants, including, but not necessarily exclusive of CDS funds, would you be willing to bond? Would the town be willing to bond? Because I think that's what the committee is trying to say is we may not get 4 million, but we may be able to come up with 1 million from state funding or something. And therefore we've come up with the 4 million that we would need.
As well as fundraising.
As well as fundraising
Right.
and private donations.
and who administers the funds? I mean, who's gonna be responsible for, there's a lot of accounting now that's implicit in this warrant item. Are there gonna be separate accounts for this project now, or who will be responsible for administering those accounts?
Me. Can I ask, we have committee members here and Susan on Zoom. We applied through Collins' office, King's office, and Pingree's office, right, for CDS funding?
Yes.
And did we have specific amounts that we requested through that, or is it kind of open-ended?
No, we requested $4 million from both Collins and King. I'm sorry, I don't know the number we requested from Pingree. It's a smaller amount.
That's okay.
Um,
I would suggest that just for clarity's sake, that the select board is confused. Can't imagine what's gonna happen at town meeting. This article, which was specifically written so that it could be shovel-ready to apply for CDS grants, that the CDS grant total of $4 million is the triggering number for issuing the bond. Now, if they don't get the grant, then we rewrite the article next year that would include whatever else, whatever method, including CDS grants, but this article has changed every single meeting and every single hearing. I just think we need some finality here, and that would be the way I would, hopefully we can do it that way. We just can't keep kicking this down the road. Am I wrong? I think, Jesse, you've already agreed. We hurried this article so that it would be shovel ready, so you could apply for CDS grants.
That is correct.
No, that's all I need. So I would suggest that you can keep that wording in there if you choose, but we're not going to issue grants if we have $1 million in some grant that comes from Smokey the Bear Fireman's Fund and say, well, we're on our way. So now we need to have that $4 million number somehow, in black and white. Just so that people can understand what they're voting for. I don't.
So can I address?
Sure.
So I hear what you're saying, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. That if we get $1 million, we're not gonna be able to pull the bond. I get that. But I think this language makes it clear that until such time as the financial balance of the project has been met, the town will not issue a bond.
The committee has changed the playing field multiple times, and I'm saying, if you've confused me, I'm suggesting you're gonna confuse a lot of people at town meeting, and that imperils this project, and I don't want the project to imperil. You need clarity, and I think the clarity is, hey, we've brought this article to the town, which is really gonna be the first time the town is gonna vote up or down whether or not we're gonna buy it. Because we have the comprehensive plan, everyone wants a new fire station. This will be the first time we black and white on dollars and cents. You don't want to do dollars and cents when you don't know what you're asking for or what you're talking about. I would prefer that we stick with language that includes, $4 billion in CDS grant. If you don't get it, you got next year again, and we can rewrite the article that would say, well, look, we didn't get it. Now we're gonna need some more. So we want to include state, whatever other you have. It isn't just like this ethereal, we're gonna fundraise.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's gonna work, Jesse. And I could be wrong, but George.
So, John, one other thing that I think we're losing in the translation is the town has to vote for an up to amount to appease Congress in order to issue us the grants. So again, if we're applying for it this year, they see the yes vote, they give us a little bit, we can apply next year. And we can
That's correct.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for everyone to, no, I knew but I'm just saying everybody else in the room.
Just don't wanna, having sat at town meetings, and I don't know if Bo would support this, but if it is at all unclear, we'll be there forever.
So if the 4 million in CDS is the trigger point, do the words up to need to stay? Because if you're saying up to, that's meaning, to me, that translates that if we got 3 million, right?
The project total should be in this warrant item. Total expense of the project should be in this item, in the article, so that we would know. So the town is willing to bond up to $4 million. Total price of the project is 7 and change, right? That should be in here so that we could at least, night, Craig. Thank you. So that we could at least have it in writing so we could answer questions, and it wouldn't be like Jesse standing up and say, oh yeah, the total price is $7 million. To not have the estimated total cost, and I realize it's a moving target, but you could say it's going to be up to $7,500,000. For close enough for government work. Then we would know that. Then it would be clearer that the up to $4 million in CDS grants does not have to be reached because we have a final project total. That would validate, the committee argument, but since the total of the project is not in here, it's so vague and arbitrary. I don't know how to correct that. I don't know how to correct it so that people will understand funding formula.
So could we add a sentence before the last sentence that just says the estimated project cost is the 7 1.12 million. If the town does not receive CDS funds, the town will not proceed.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's a good point, but I think that should be the first sentence of the article.
Okay.
Town is proposing to build facility. That estimated cost is, you say the number again? $7.12 million. The town proposes to bond $4 million or up to $4 million of that total. It also proposes to raise, include the tax, the TIF,
TIF.
and then raise up to $4 million in funding from CDS grants. And we have to include it in other funding sources. But at least the town will know, the town meeting will know, we've got a target number. To ask for $8 billion without a target.
I guess just to build on your point, we're asking the town to approve the project.
Exactly.
Here's the funding, but you got to approve the project. And that's really what the the congressional grants want. The town has approved the project. So nowhere in here does it really say we're approving the project. I think it's a good point.
You understand my concern?
I do. Okay. And it's legitimate. Yes.
No, please, please.
Actually.
Just identify yourself.
Yeah,
Kyler Fiegels, Hudson Road. We've all been struggling with,
I understand.
And for me, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I mean, for me, what we've got, what we're trying to do is figure out what's the tipping point. What is the go, no go?
Mhm.
And to me, it's bonding up to and not exceeding $4 million. We don't know, we are applying for a $4 million grant. It has been suggested that we may only get 3.6. Well, that's not a deal breaker. That's enough. So these are the things we're working on. I mean, we're trying to get into this.
Thank you, Kyle. And I think the article would allow the project to continue if that were the case. If you put, it's going to cost $7.12 million. If you don't have the price tag,
Okay.
you just can't, I mean, because that puts it into the infinity. You just keep raising forever. But you have a goal if you put that total down.
Okay.
Becky, what do you think?
I am trying to
Yeah.
address the project approval itself in sort of warrant article language. So I'm
George, what do you think?
scribbling something here.
So, I mean, I agree. I was kind of trying to wordsmith something where it's like, does the town favor approving up to $4 million of a $7.12 million project through bonding and tax increment financing, the remainder of which will be acquired through CDS grants, but it all makes sense. Like, I think you hit on a good point that if we have the budget there so people can see it, they say, okay, we're trying to raise.
Or to Bo, who's going to be up there, hopefully not naked at the time. If we don't say, look, this project is going to cost X amount of dollars, we may not get them back next year. We got to have some kind of goal for, this is what will the town approve expending $7.12 million? This is how we're going to raise the money. Becky.
So the article could start with, to see if the town will vote to construct a fire station and public works building with an estimated cost of 7.12 million, and to see if the town will vote to authorize, and it's the remaining part of the article. Bo, language?
I think I think it's fine. I'd have to see it all together, but,
Mhm.
and I hesitate to bring up another issue.
No, please do.
Okay.
Now's the time.
Not in what's been proposed, but what's on the article here.
Yeah.
On the draft warrant. The last sentence says, comma, the town will not proceed with the project or issue any bonds or notes for the project. Do we want to say we're not going to proceed with the project at all at that point? Or just that we're not going to issue any more, but we're not going forward with the bonding? Because you may still be wanting to take steps to move forward with the
Yeah, but
project at some level.
You're absolutely right, but I think this is time sensitive. I think we're voting in the 2026 town meeting.
Okay.
It does not limit us voting on the 2027 town meeting.
Fair enough.
We're trying to make a concrete decision by a town. I saw you, Kyler. I'm just trying to. No, that's. Well, I thought.
So,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
so if we take a little bit out of what they put on their memo towards the tail end of that, I don't know if it'll work, but to the extent of if the town does not receive enough funding or, you know, fundraising, then they will not issue the bonds until it's like, would that still put us into that?
I think that may limit you too much in the future, because it could be that you just want to come back to the town and say, look, can we get $300,000 from unassigned balances to make up the shortfall?
So I think, you know, I appreciate all the work the committee's done, but I think this is a time-sensitive request. This is a request, try to receive CDS funding. And to do that, you need to get town approval for the project. That's something that we haven't done yet in terms of dollars and cents. So that's the big hurdle. So once you receive the town approval to proceed with the project financially, then the rest is fine. But you need to, and federal government needs to see that too as well. I'm assuming that's that part of shovel ready. They need that vote. But they wouldn't get an assurance of that vote the way this article is read right now. So Becky, I think it's important. Did you have something to say, Kyler? Because I cut you off 3 or 4 times and I apologize. Please.
Somehow, it got missed in here. That last sentence, if the town does not receive CDS funds, the town will not proceed with the project or issue any bonds or notes for the project. And that makes me nervous because we want to continue with the design work. And I don't.
That's another question, Kyler, right?
Yeah.
That's another question, because then they're gonna say, well, if the next, I'm glad you brought that up, because we're gonna talk about it in the next article. It becomes.
How about, what if we were to add in that, in that sentence that the town will not proceed with permitting or construction of the project?
Yeah, but.
I did.
But.
Or issue any bonds.
Or issue any bonds, yeah. I mean,
Is it the committee's desire to stop work if you don't get the CDS funding? You want to continue.
well, that's why I say, permitting or construction, because that would allow us to continue working on the development of the project, including design.
And the question will come from the floor. Well, if you're not going to fund the project, why are you continuing to do the engineering?
And that's a very good question. And the answer here, which I'm not prepared to give formally, is that we need to provide continuing evidence to the government that we mean it and that we're working on the project.
So that circles back to having a proposed figure that the town approves. We're gonna commit to 7 million.
7.12, yeah.
Apologize. I'm
Yeah,
getting-
That's all right, yeah.
And then put that trigger away. The consequence is that we're going to bond $4 million and we're going to apply for up to $4 million in CDS grants and other funding. If that funding does not continue, does not occur, the town will not issue bonds.
That correct?
Period.
Yes, period.
Okay, and then we can fight the next fight in the next article. Are we going to continue engineering?
Okay,
You want to approve the project, right? You don't want to fight over engineering, permitting on this article.
that's correct.
You agree, Jesse?
Yes.
Tim, you've been scribbling. What do you think? Now would be the time.
I wordsmith, I was working on what Becky had started.
I tell everybody get to the money. I was just working on what Becky had started. And, I think you need to make it not only clear right up front that you're going to be asking for $8 million or whatever it is for this project.
7.12.
Today's numbers, but by the time of the year's
I
up,
worked hard for today.
by the time the year's up, that could be 8 million.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the problem, right?
So I think, yes, so I think that if you limit it to that amount, then you're in trouble. So anyways, I mean, you got to limit it to something, but I think limit it to the current amount, you might cause trouble. And then you also need to make it clear that you're only going to bond up to 4 million for this whole project, and the other funds are going to come from somewhere else.
Becky,
So correct me if I'm wrong, committee members that are here, the 7.12 million is a projection through the end of 2027 of the potential costs.
Right.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that's not potentially limiting us to just a month or two. That is an economist that has estimated that out for a year and a half. That's the adjusted figure. Okay.
5.96 million let's say.
Perfect, thank
that's a
you.
very important point, because if the cost goes up, then you're going to have to re-warrant the article,
Correct.
because the town will need to address
Any difference?
But I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. The goal of this particular article is to get town approval for $7.12 million. However we get it, that's all in the details, but to apply for the grants and to be seen as a legitimate applicant, the town needs to step forward and say, I do. Right? Okay. So I think that, help me, I realize I'm talking way too much here, but I think.
So can I just add something?
Yeah. So I think that it needs to say at the end, if the town does not receive the CDS funds, the town will not issue any bonds.
Do you think striking the words will not proceed with the project?
I think that's important.
Okay,
To strike that.
Okay.
Because you will proceed with a project. The town will just not issue bonds
right.
on a speculative basis, right? You don't want to say that, right?
Because that was the worry in our community folks. Mike Pasquarello, the worry in the committee was, will not proceed with the project. We felt like, absolute agreement that if it was worded that way, that then we're done until such time as it. So that's, and I think that's what always struck myself coming out of all those meetings, is we want to be able to continue along with whatever little bit we can do, looking into other grants, fundraising, whatever it happens to be.
You're absolutely right, Mike. And the committee is going to have, which we'll address in the next article, some kind of budget schedule on, so what if? What if it, what if you don't get the CDS grant this year? What is the budget going to be for next year? What are you going to do to position yourself to be more favorably viewed as someone who's going to apply for grants or has already applied for grants? Becky,
Kate wanted to
I'm
speak.
sorry, Kate, go.
I think a couple of things. One is, I think once the language in this article is written correct and includes more of those details as an explanatory way of helping people understand it, it'll be much less confusing. If it's written right, it won't show the evidence of all this since the beginning. That
We've lost you, Kate.
thought it was going to be a tough sell, and they can include all these things.
Can you hear us okay, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right, and that so confusing.
You're frozen and we're missing bits and pieces of what you were saying.
Okay. So I don't know why.
Well, it's the internet. You never know.
Can you write it out in chat and send it?
I would
Yeah.
say-
So did Susan have something she wanted to add?
No, that was Kate that wanted to speak earlier.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kate, for saying not yet. Well, what do you think?
Does the specific language need to be approved tonight?
Yes, this is the last public hearing. They'll
Okay.
be signing the
Okay,
draft.
I just wanted clearance.
We're here until we're here.
Gotcha.
Tim, do you have anything else more? Man of few words? Sure.
Just so I understand, I thought Article 40 was trying to do too many things. Get the funding for the design as well as longer term. And I agree with everything that you've been saying. So what happens if the town votes down the project? We still want to get that engineering done. So should that be a separate article?
It is. It's the next one.
Oh, that's the grant writing. That's not the engineering one, right?
We were asked to put a budget and we did that. And I don't know whether
Sorry, Marcia, it is misnumbered on the exhibit. They're reversed. Okay, so right now we're talking about this bottom one on their exhibit. Yes, and 39, that corresponds with 39 here, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, I got it. Thank you.
Stop, Marcia, because you had a good point. Could you restate your question? I just want to hear you again, if you
The
could.
question was, well, if the town votes down the article with a 7.125 million, 4 million bond, then what happens to the engineering? Because I think we still want the engineering to move forward.
That's a great
And
question.
it seemed like that should be a separate article.
It is in a separate article. Thank you. I just want to make sure I understood what you said. Okay? Yeah.
To that point, I wondered if what is currently labeled as Article 40 can go before or what is currently labeled Article 39.
For what purpose?
Because I think that we are far more likely to get that approved and to continue moving forward, even if the bond is not approved this year. And I would reverse the question. What purpose does it serve to have it in this order?
For asking that question. It's behind this article because we want the town to be able to approve the money and the project. We want them to have an opportunity to discuss it in dollars and cents. Does the town wish to move forward?
But you want to talk about the whole big picture and,
Absolutely.
okay.
And have the town commit. Because once the town commits, then Article 40 40 becomes far more palatable to the town. If the town does not want to commit to the project, $7.12 million, then we'll have a cat fight for Article 40. I'm willing to have that fight, but I want to be fair to the town. I want them to say, hey, this is what we're asking you. No BS. We're asking you to conceive of this town spending this much money through grants and bonding. Yes, we'll do it. Okay. In order to keep this project going, we may not get this grant this year, but we need to continue the project going, and this is the article that's going to keep that funding project going forward.
Okay.
Right? I'm sorry, I'm pretty black and white, but that's how I see the best chance.
You're better at this than I am.
This keeps me up at night. Because I'm sitting behind a table and I'm looking at all these people, looking at Bo and looking at me thinking, talking about. I just wanted to be as clear as it can be, okay?
Yeah, so Kate's chat, if the language in the article is correct and includes more detail, it won't be so confusing to town meeting, but it has to explain the total cost, so.
Okay. So I am going to entertain propositions for the wording of the article. Go.
So my initial, which Bo, I think, is working on an edit, my only concern is adding my language at the beginning, asking for the approval of the project, and then the money that if that article gets voted down, it's kind of voting down the approval of the project too. So that's my only concern with adding that
Can you
sentence.
say that again?
Yeah, so my initial addition was to see if the town will vote to construct a fire station and public works building with an estimated cost of $7.12 million, and to see if the town will vote to authorize in the remaining portion of the article.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you. I don't think there's an and there. I think it's, do you want to approve the project to be financed this way?
Okay. But the language still has to say, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board. So that's why I had the word "and" there, was to include it.
To be financed by authorizing the select board to
Okay,
issue $4
Okay.
million in bonds.
okay, I see what you're saying, yep.
Right?
What do you have for
I'm,
language?
I'm,
Still working?
yeah, no, I'm getting tangled up. I
Right.
find it difficult to do with.
By the select board, ... Okay, I didn't want, the all or one when you have multiple, right?
But I'm sorry to be the curmudgeon, but I think the town needs the opportunity to see the total figure.
Mhm.
And then once they see it, they have to understand the rationale that the committee has set forth on how to reach that goal. And part of that is bonding, which we can talk about, and part of that is the grant, which is the mechanism which brought the article to the table in the first place. So the committee is going to have to do a tap dance explaining what ground shovel ready is and why it's important for the town to approve this warrant article to allow CDS to acknowledge that the town is in favor of the project. That was really a roundabout. Boy, I should be a lawyer or a high school student. Tim, please.
I think this is going to be difficult tonight to come up with a legal language that would satisfy everybody, especially the attorney. So, but we can keep on throwing things out there. So I started off with, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to expend up to 8 million, whatever you want, towards the construction of a combined fire station and public works facility, period. This vote approves the select board to issue general obligation bonds or notes in a principal amount not to exceed $4 million. The bonds will not be issued until such time as the remainder of the needed funds will be raised through the rest of this.
I like that, Tim.
Really?
I do. I like, no,
Don't go far with that language.
because it's clear. Yeah, Jesse.
You gotta add the TIF
Yeah, the TIF.
money in there too.
The remainder of the art, yeah.
Yeah.
Susan had, a chat. Two things. Can we add fundraising as a way to come up with the balance? And I think your language actually just added.
Can you read your last sentence?
Plug in after that.
Yeah.
Can you read your last sentence, Tim?
The bonds will not be issued until such a time that the remainder of the needed funds will be raised through. And that's probably the wrong language, but it's a start.
Okay, that's a start.
Type it up and put it up there.
You want me to type that and put it, I don't think I have Word, well, I do have Word.
And I can't type fast.
Can I read this? All right, I don't know what this.
Would be quicker to go down and copy, make 10 copies.
Well, I don't know if you can read it.
Yes.
Tyler. AI.
This is the first time I've seen these in their current form as they're presented to you. And I do see a minor error on the committee's fault. And I would like to request that Article 39 include, let's see, let me find it. All right, the first sentence, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to issue general obligation bonds or notes in the name of the town in a principal amount not to exceed $4 million, which bonds or notes may be callable to pay costs to design, construct, and equip. I would like to add the word permitting in there. This was somehow missed in our discussions, because that word permitting is included in Article 40 and should not have been. So we just want to shift from that permitting from Article 40 to Article 39.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Is it? Okay. The board will not be issued? Wait, was that, the board will,
The bond.
the bond, thank you. That makes sense.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
How many people does it take to come up with a warrant?
A lot.
You just don't want this to happen with amendments.
True.
You know it.
Imagine the
You know
amendment.
it.
And then we gotta plug in.
Amendment.
Right.
Fine amendment.
Okay, let me see if I can at least screen share so home can at least see what I've written so far. Let's see if I can screen share the right thing. Okay, can you see that Word document that starts with to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to expend? You're muted.
Kate's in Poland Range Road, Never Never Land. We got it.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. So this was the language that Tim just read. It would continue on with, 1, to issue general obligation bonds in the note. So it would include all this language, and we need to incorporate something about the donation. So that was what Tim had just read a few minutes ago.
How did we get paid doing it? I keep on saying that because it's easier. Well, could we say 7.1
You just changed to 7.2. But you meaning learning numbers.
It is 7.125.
So then. The amount not issued at the time, the remainder of the funds needed were raised through.
1, to issue general obligation bonds in the notes, so it would use that language. And then the question is the donated funds. Do we need language then in the financial aspect that we would copy in the donated funds?
And someone define donated funds. Yeah.
We're not talking about doing a bake sale or a chicken fry or anything like that. But we're gonna work with Isabel on different types of fundraising where we could petition wealthy benefactors that may be willing to chip in some money.
I understand the concept. I'm not sure it applies applicable in an article like this, because that would be money that would be under.
Under your general article for accepted gifts
Right.
that have specific requirements to them.
Yeah.
So you're covered under that.
Okay.
You're covered with that kind of donation.
All right.
But what you're saying is. But what you're saying is the total amount could include those in
Yeah.
order to get to that tipping point.
Right.
There would be an accounting, there's an accounting to all donations, so that would, we just said, I'm not quite sure what the ledger is going to look like for this project, but it's going to be bizarre enough so that we could have a line item for donations, sure.
I would probably create its own general section, much like the TIF has.
There actually already is a general ledger section for fire station. It's got like $6,000 in it. And that was money that was donated by Althea Blake years and years ago.
It's in a fund balance,
Yeah,
the fire station fund balance.
yeah.
Okay. In the chat, Susan says, can we leave it at raised? She might need to explain that a little bit more. And can we say grants and fundraising? We just addressed the fundraising, right?
Hmm.
To the other article.
Can I ask a question about the fundraising? Because my only concern with not mentioning it, and I guess we would is that I don't believe that the average citizen will even know about that or even comprehend that as part of a specific fundraising for this project. I mean, is there a reason we can't say fundraising?
In the warrant article itself?
Correct.
George?
I mean, it seems like if the fundraising is an aspect of it, I don't see it being any harm to include it as saying we're going to apply for grants, private fundraising, and then the remainder will be on the town for up to X number of dollars. But that's just like, I don't see where just so they understand that there will be some, fundraising applied for, asked, sought out.
Certainly not. Once you get the total budget number, how you get there is just window dressing, right? Because you're gonna do it however you can, right? So, all right. So, you put that back up, Beck. See if the town will vote to authorize the select board to expend up to $7.15 million towards the construction of the combined fire station and public works facility. This vote authorizes the select board to issue general obligation bonds or notes, principal amount not to exceed $4 million. All right, and so not to exceed $4 million to be made, which bonds or notes may be made callable to pay costs to design, construct, permit, and equip a new fire station and public works facility. All right. The project, which is going to be called the project. 2, to expend up to $550,000 of available tax incremental financing funds to pay project costs. And 3, to apply for and accept state and federal grants, including up to $4 million in federal congressional directed spending, CS funds, to pay projects costs and reduce the amount of bonds and notes issued for the project. All right. The bonds will not be issued until such time as the combination of raised funds and bond equal $7.12 million.
Combination of
An epiphany.
funds
Equal at least, yeah.
equals.
It's an epiphany. That's the trigger. We will not release. Did you get that, you guys?
Yeah.
Do I have that close? The bonds will not be issued until such a time as a combination of funds equals 7.125. Million. What was after that?
I think, before that came, so right after $4 million came the wording in the actual article, which bonds or notes may be made callable to pay costs to design, construct, and permit, design, construct, and permit. I think that's the right spot for that, and equip the new fire station public works facility, the project. 2 would be to expend up to, that's about the TIF, 3 to apply for and accept up to $4 million along with federal grants, state grants, to pay project costs and to reduce the amount of bonds or notes issued for the project. Then that eliminates, if the town does not receive the funds, the town will not proceed with the project or issue any bonds or notes for the project. Because we've agreed that we won't proceed until we raise the total. Now, the project with that is going to be a Tim Giddings memorandum that's going to limit this to the 2-year window. Unless, of course, the price of materials goes down. We'll have to probably talk about another warrant in 2 years, just to include a amended total cost.
We may have to come back next.
Absolutely, but let's get this year done. Okay? How does that wording
Let me get it reshared.
sound?
This might
It
be-
addressed a lot of the questions we talked about. The committee can still continue to work, provided that the next one it passes, but
Right.
that allows us, here's the guy gets the figure out there, which we all agree at the point. Know that there's a budget.
Yeah. Lawyer's gonna have a field day with us.
Can we put anything in there right after?
Construct, comma, permit,
Yeah.
permitting.
You want to construct here? You want it after?
Before construction.
Well, most people get permits after they do the work around here anyway.
Not with a new, no, not with our new CEO. No, they do not. Those times have changed.
So from the end of,
Permit, not,
what's that?
just permits, not permit.
And then after the bond will not be issued until such a time as a combination of funds equals 7.125 million, and then we would add the remaining language from the article to include the TIF money and the CDS funds.
No, I think the bond will not issued is going to be our last sentence.
Okay,
So I think
so I would insert the funding in between.
right there, yeah.
Okay.
So after that will be,
The
number-
I'm just making a note for me right here, so, okay.
that'll be number 2 or
Yep.
article, section 2, section 3, and then we'll omit the last sentence of Article 39 in our draft. Everyone follow that?
And we're gonna admit the town will not proceed, the town will not issue any bonds or notes is what that's gonna end up being, that last sentence. We're gonna admit the, not proceed with the project part, just not proceed with the, okay, yeah. I think I kind of got it. This Word document's gonna get sent down to the other computer.
Do we want to have received the funds or have a commitment for the funds? Okay, I think it should say commitment then. Unless,
Bond will not be issued until such time as a combination of funds committed equals. Equals 1/7.
because you could get a commitment from the feds and it's not, won't fund for another 18 months or something.
Yeah, then you're gonna have somebody say, well, you know, think of all the grants and funds that were committed that have been taken back this year. But you have to be transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good edit.
Can you repeat that edit?
Bond will not be issued to such time as a combination of funds committed equals.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So do you want the whole? Do you want the whole amount at the end, or do you want the half of it, the 4 million, which comes to 8?
We want it very clear that we're not gonna move forward until the addition equals $7.12 million.
Then you need to put the bond in that last sentence too. Bond will not be issued until such time. It's a combination of.
The funds, which includes the bond.
Okay.
Right? Is that implied, or you need to imply it again? You need to say the bond will not be issued until such time as a combination of funds, including the bond committed equals, so what?
You need to say including the bond.
What if we parentheses? Whoops.
It's good spelling. That fit? That work?
Including the bonding.
Bonding.
Jim?
The attorneys can say, I like.
We'll find out when I send it to him, I guess.
Absolutely, I mean, do you feel comfortable in filling in the blanks there?
Yes. We'll read it out when we get into the regular part of the meeting. Because I think we can jump.
Anybody have any other things to kick around with this thing?
Could I just ask you, if we're gonna add fundraising and that Becky's copying, which I totally get, doesn't include fundraising, I don't believe.
So I think when I was typing, there was a discussion about the fundraising being covered under the other article, Article 50, or no?
You wrote it on it.
Did I write it on there? Hmm.
Insert fundraiser. Funding, oh.
Well, insert the language from 2 and 3 from the original article, so I wasn't typing it all out. right?
So 3 says to apply for and accept state and federal grants, including up to 4, and so Susan is asking to include fundraising, and George said
I would say gifts.
gifts.
Yeah, because that ties it into the subsequent article of generally accepting gifts.
Give you an opportunity to receive gifts from wealthy donors. Lower money.
So gifts could actually be item 4.
Yeah, excellent.
We'll figure that wording. Okay,
All right.
I think I've got my road here.
Thank
We'll
you.
read it all out in regular meeting.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the next.
Okay, Article 40. To see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $405,000, $405,000 from unassigned fund balance to the Future Facilities Committee account for the following purpose: permitting, fundraising, grant writing, and design and construction drawings for proposed co-located fire department and public works building.
Okay, we're gonna omit permitting on this one.
Right.
I just want to point out on Exhibit C, at the end is a proposed budget that the committee did send, and I added to the exhibit since the last public hearing.
So these actual figures, or did you just start at 4,000 and do some subtractions?
They are,
Let's be honest right now, so that we're not have to deal with it at town meeting.
They are, yes, they're honest. They accurately reflect, the cost, and I can walk you through that.
I- You step up, Mike, call it. Yeah.
I'd like to.
Please. So you're estimating, the committee is estimating that you'll need $7,500 to fundraise. Where'd that figure come from?
That's me.
No, I'm asking person sitting at the table.
I can't speak to that. That is, was arrived, okay.
I can speak. So both the fundraising estimate and the grant writing estimate were both from Isabel.
Is that, you have that in writing?
Susan has it in an email, or the Future Facilities has it in an email.
All right, so Isabel estimated it's gonna cost her, she's gonna do the grant writing, or who's gonna do the grant writing? Who's gonna do the fundraising?
She's going to assist us with fundraising.
So the committee will do the fundraising?
Yes. Committee will do some fundraising with her assistance.
And can you give me an example of what fundraising is gonna look like?
Nope, not specifically.
And can you give me an example of what kind of grants are gonna be applied for?
So any other grants that come available that she can,
I'm asking for an example. Can you give me an example of a grant that you'll be applying for?
so we're solar energy grants,
And who would issue that? Who would you be applying to for solar energy grants?
We've asked Isabella to do, is research any opportunities would be available to our committee to reduce the cost of, reduce the operating cost. The state was issuing grants, but we're not specialists, that's why we have to.
Right, so at this point in time, you have no specified,
You haven't identified any.
thank you, that's all I'm asking.
We will need her assistance for the CDS grants again next year if we don't get them this year. So that's part of the budgeting as well.
Okay, so Kyler, I think this is going to come into your ballywork. So design and construction drawings of the proposed co-located public facility. The design and construction drawings are estimated at 389. Can you tell me the firm that gave you that figure?
I can tell you how I arrived at it.
But you can't tell me
It is based on, it's based on what Port City gave us as a design fee, as an estimated design fee.
so you have that in writing.
I do.
Only asked. And what will that bring the town if you get design and construction drawings of the project? What will the town have in layman's terms?
It will have a set of construction drawings suitable for two things. One is for obtaining a building permit, and the other is for actually constructing the building.
So there'll be no more construction, design and construction drawings required from the $7.12 million.
No.
Okay, so this is a number that will not be increased. Yes,
Would that provide you with all the information you would need to be able to go out to bid
Yes.
for the construction.
Yes. We need to say that. So somewhere in this Article 40, we need to say, see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $405,000 unassigned fund balance to the following purpose: fundraising, grant writing, and design construction project for the proposed co-located, all right. These said, needs to be a semicolon, these design and construction drawings will allow the project to be put out for bid.
Yeah, you might say, bid-ready construction drawings.
Will we be correct if we say bid-ready construction drawings?
Yes.
Okay, can we add that? Maybe bid-ready design and construction. Design and construction, does design need to be bid-ready as well? Where would the bid-ready be most appropriate, Bo?
I would say, design and construction drawings necessary to obtain bids.
For the proposed co-located, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That feel, okay, good. Just want to have something there that town can understand why we're appropriating.
One more time.
Yeah, good. You okay? Good. Oh, are you okay?
Yep.
Anybody have any more? Tim, you have any more?
I've got a real minor one that it's been eating at me since I've been reading these. We reference it in Article 40 as a co-located fire department and public works building, and in 39, it's a fire station public works facility. Could we perhaps just word it to public safety and public works building? Because it's talking two different languages there, but why not just put it public safety and public works building?
So we don't be co-located?
Well, I mean, it could be co-located, but public safety and public works, not fire department and fire station.
You need, I'm sure that.
Yes, yes.
They're in the same spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just grammatical type of thing.
George, that's.
Might have to type it, Susan, we're losing you.
So both articles would say
Public safety.
public safety works facilities. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Doors. I'm like, these are my note. Oh, wait, I need that background. I think I need mine.
Becky, did we have a conversation about the funding source on this one? Was that about another article?
You wanted to talk about this one and next one on the funding source.
Okay, well, let's go through that. Does anyone have any questions about Article 40? Are we okay with that? Good. Article 41. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bo.
If the town will vote to, one, authorize the select board to execute a purchase and sale agreement for the town's purchase of a portion of certain property located at 716 Hoston Road, map 5, lot 38, the property, on terms that the select board deems to be in the best interest of the town, and take all other such actions, including but not limited to the execution of contracts, agreements, representations, and other documents necessary for the completion of such transaction, on the condition that the town agrees to pay for the cost of the survey of the proposed lot to be performed prior to closing, the cost of permitting the division of the property under the town's land use ordinance, and the cost of all legal services, including but not limited to deed preparation and closing associated with the completion of such transaction. And two, raise and appropriate the sum of $350,000 to be used towards the town's obligations stated therein.
Okay, Becky.
After our last public hearing, see, I'm still in public safety. I did reach out, to the sellers regarding the acreage, and the language that we changed. They were fine with the language that we changed. They did come back and say that they would honor the 4.98 proposed acreage lot, which we'll know really what it is once it's surveyed. So that was fine. And then their only other request was to make sure as we got closer that there was the buffering, the vegetation buffering of trees kept between that and the lots, which I thought was a reasonable request. This will have to go through site plan, and that's often used in site plan. So I just wanted to follow up on those pieces from the discussion with the sellers. So we'll need to add language in here for approximate 4.9 acres into this article. No, the original lot that we were speaking with them was the 4.9 acres. So they did send a drawing that I believe is in your packet, we got this afternoon. There are so many papers. This one, yeah, right here. So it's this one.
Yeah.
Yep, someone right there. Yeah, there were two different ones. The one we discussed was the 4.9 acre with them.
Okay, so that, we'll add that to right after map 5, lot 38.
Okay, perfect.
And what about the funding? We had a conversation about that.
Yeah, so the current funding, we switched to taxation because with all the other committed warrant articles, we didn't have available funds in the unassigned funds. But I think it's worth having a discussion that if the town approves this warrant article and we start to move through the process and for some reason the sale doesn't happen, we have committed $350,000 towards the tax mill rate that may or may not get used and then would go back to unassigned funds in the end of the year. And we could use that next year to help mitigate, but I think it's important to know that this does affect the tax mill rate, whether the purchase and sales goes through or not.
Suggestion was to use unassigned fund balance for this article and use taxation for Article 40.
Correct.
And the implication of that would be that since this article is far more speculative than Article 40, it'd probably be more beneficial to the tax bill to have it under unassigned fund.
That's correct.
Thoughts, George? Okay. Just want to ask. Go ahead.
My understanding too, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the monies under Article 40 from unassigned fund balance is basically the balance that was being returned to the unassigned fund balance out of that account anyway. So it's just reauthorization of that amount.
So what we're suggesting, Bo, is what we're talking about is to change the funding source of Article 40 taxation and Article 41 to unassigned fund based on the speculative nature of.
Yep, understand.
Nope, that's just me. It's my hand right in her icon.
So the funding source is reversed on those two.
I think it's prudent. I think if we get to Article 40 with an approved project, then it's probably more cohesive if we do it through taxation anyway. Then this gives more latitude to the town if the real estate, which has more problems than yet or enumerate. So we'll have an out clause on that. George, thoughts?
I like it. It makes sense.
Second part.
So one thought is this article could move earlier, because if this article got voted down, then Article 40 could be amended to unassigned fund. So if we put this one before,
Is you're gonna have to say, what do you want this land for? You want this land, is this land a possible place for a fire? Fire pump works, so we don't wanna muddy the water.
okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, Marshall. You step to the mic, because you have a million viewers.
I just wanted for my own clarity, I kept reading, is the total sum including the cost that the town is going to incur for 350,000? So if that were 100,000, then we're actually paying 250 for the land? I just, thank you.
You have your hand up?
So just to clarify, the land is 300,000, 50,000 is all the legal fees, closing costs, survey. That's the breakdown. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $60,000 for the assessing and revaluation.
And reserve is, sorry, crossed off. That got past the printing.
okay, so we have an possible amendment to this. And the amendment would be George and Kate, I don't know if you have this email from Mr. Green, Mr. John Green, and he brought it up to the town's attention last public hearing about including money in this article to hire a professional technical assessor to assess the CFP property. And his points, some good points about 5 years ago, the utility valuation accounted for 25%. Today it's 16%. His suggestion was, and I don't know if we have wording of his suggestion, but to include in this article, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $60,000 for the assessing and reevaluation reserve. Guess we would have to have another article.
He has in his email to see if the town will contract with an expert with utility property assessing expertise to value utility property on an expedited basis for a sum not to exceed the balance in the assessing and valuation reserve account, which already has money in it from our last year's article. So that was his proposed warrant article. So that would allow us to contract with a professional to do utility assessing.
But we don't have any idea how much that would cost, right?
We do not. He kind of did some math in his email. If you go right ahead, want to follow it, I'd have to skim through what's his proposed, email. I thought it might have said something about 24,000 potentially, but that's an estimate based on, other towns' experience and an amount that was a different assessed amount.
So I'm going to suggest that what do you think, George, about the whole thought about?
I like it. After I read the email from John, it was, or Jim, Mr. Green, eye-opening to say the least. And I think it would be foolish not to at least entertain looking into it.
Well, I think I'm wondering if that's gonna muddy the waters of the reval that we have in our, I'm sorry, Becky. We have Article 43 here that says, see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate up to $30,000 to contract with a technical appraiser for.
Wouldn't we want to use the funds we already have? So we already have 60,000
I
for this,
understand,
yeah.
but
So we wouldn't need to raise and appropriate. We could actually use funds we already have.
we could use that, but
Okay.
would that be muddying the purpose of the original
We still have,
request?
we still have an RFP out where, and it's probably going to be a couple of years, 3 or 4 before we get an assessment. So we have time to make up any funds we.
So then you would suggest we could say to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate $60,000 for assessing and reevaluation to include both the reserve fund and hiring technical assessor for the utilities town.
Well, I think we could have the separate article like you suggested. I just don't think we have to raise and appropriate. I think we could transfer and appropriate from the money we already have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, so that would be Article 43. See if the town would transfer up to $30,000 from the assessing and reevaluation reserve to contract with a technical appraiser or assessor for purpose of assessing Central Maine Power and Duke Energy.
Could you just say all public utilities in the town of Pownell? Because you got the gas that's probably gone up, and you got the phone lines that go through underground.
You may not get it for $30,000 if you're putting all the,
Yeah, but I think CMP might cry foul if we only assess them and did not reassess the other utilities in town.
I would echo what Jesse just said. I think that we don't want to upset the cart with CMP, but I also want to point out part of John's reasoning for doing this is that CMP's the amount they've been paying has gone down from 25 million, whatever it was, to 15. But also remember that our assessment ratio has gone down, and since they're the biggest taxpayer in town, it affects them the most. It's not necessarily because they're not assessed properly, it's because the town isn't assessed properly. And by reassessing them, it's not going to fix that.
You're absolutely,
Completely.
you're right. The ratio is what's dropped their, and that's what our assessing agent has pointed out numerous times. I think Mr. Green's claim is that there is innuendo that CMP may not be evaluating their facility at market value. And he points to 2 towns that hired a man that was able to correct that. CMP didn't dispute it. So it'd be, excuse me for a second, it would be a good question. And I'm not sure the town meeting the forum to address it, but it should be addressed. Do we want to engage in an adventure of hiring somebody to call CMP on their value? It's the largest taxpayer in town, and if they've been lowballing the town, I don't know, because I have no idea if they have or not. Is it worth spending $30,000 to evaluate all our utilities? That is a town meeting question.
might I suggest that the 30,000 be transferred for beginning the process of evaluation and reassessment of all utilities. And because that would then, we may only get for $30,000, may only get you CMP, but, we still want to march forward next year with gas company and
It might have to be that assessment may have to be stated on a not on a yearly basis, but on a regular scheduled basis. So that we're not doing it yearly, we're just.
a periodic basis.
Thank you, that was where I was looking for. Periodic basis.
So the article could read, to see if the town will transfer and appropriate up to 30,000 from the assessing and reevaluation reserve to begin the process, to contract with an expert with utility property assessing expertise to begin the process of evaluating utilities, periodic. Okay.
Periodically evaluating and assessing utilities.
Yeah, within the contract, you specify the priorities.
Okay, I can come up with,
Okay,
I got it.
questions about that? All right. Go to Article 43. Hey, it's an easy one.
And Article 43. Now we're on to the printed Article 43. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to appropriate up to $863,626 of the non-property tax revenues to reduce the total amount authorized to be raised by taxation, and to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board and town treasurer to accept any additional revenues or funds and expend any other revenue from the state, federal, local, and private sources for the support of the town that may not, or that may be used to reduce the amount required to be raised by taxation.
Question on Article 43.
44, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $200,000 from unassigned fund balance for the purpose of reducing tax commitment.
Article 44. Oh.
Article 45, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to transfer any funds remaining in the Pownell Center Water Association, AKA PCWA, operating fund at the end of the 2025-2026 fiscal year to the PCWA Reserve Fund.
Question about Article 45. Oh.
46, to see if the town will vote to set September 15th, 2026, December 15th, 2026, March 15th, 2027, and June 15th, 2027 as the dates on which 1/4 property taxes for the 2026-2027 fiscal year shall be due and payable, and to charge interest at the rate of 7% per year computed on a daily basis on any portion of the installment dues that remains outstanding as of September 16th, 2026, December 16th, 2026, March 16th, 2027, and June 16th, 2027. 2, permit the tax collector or their designee to waive unintentional tax interest payment shortages in amount not to exceed $5. And 3, authorize a tax collector to accept payment of real estate property taxes not yet due or assessed pursuant to 36 MRS 506, provided the town shall owe no interest on such early payments. 47, to see if the town will vote to set 3% as the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes pursuant to 36 MRS 506-A, and to authorize such interest paid or abatements granted to be appropriated from overlay funds or, if necessary, from unassigned fund balances. Article 48, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to transfer not more than 3% of the town's budget expenditures between budget line items within an individual department, provided that the town's total budget expenditures within an individual department should not be increased. 49, to see if the town will vote to authorize select board to transfer any unexpended funds to the carry forward accounts within departments and or committees to complete projects from the previous fiscal year.
Article 49, vote.
Article 50, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board and the treasurer on behalf of the town to accept any unconditional gifts, unanticipated donations, or pass-through funds that may be provided by individuals, business associations, charitable groups, and/or organizations which have not been listed in any of the previous articles. If the select board determines that the gifts, donations, or pass-through funds and their purposes are in the best interest of the town and to expend such funds for their intended purpose.
Question on Article 50, vote.
Yeah, I hate to raise the question, but where we say unconditional gifts, going back to the co-located facility, you may have a commitment for a gift for $200,000 if you go forward with the project. You still want to be able to accept, well, you wouldn't accept it until it's once we decide to go ahead, then it's committed and it's non-conditional at that point. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for working that out. We appreciate that, because I was thinking, how am I going to link up to that?
Yeah, and from an accounting standpoint, it then becomes
Yeah.
unconditional, unrestricted. Article 51, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board or their designee to seek, accept, and disperse grant funds from private, county, state, federal agencies for the purposes so designated in each specific grant, and to execute any documents related to such grants.
51, vote.
52, to see if the town will vote to appropriate 100% of all funds received from the registration of snowmobiles to the Rocky Coast Riders and Tri-Town Penguin Snowmobile Club for the purpose of maintaining the snowmobile trails, which are open to the general public without charge for snowmobile purposes and any other uses that may be authorized by the property owner.
Well, thank you so much. Yep. Such a big help, and thank you, everybody, for bearing with us to try to put this thing together, so. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's.
You want a break for a minute?
Maybe just a minute.
We'll adjourn we'll take a break. Minute, Becky. But I've lost all this. Imagine me losing my agenda. Got it. All right, next item on the agenda is, George, could you move right here so we can discuss? Next item on the agenda is fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 23 in the amount of $4,500, $405,577.99.
I move that we approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 23 in the amount of $405,577.99.
Moved and seconded to approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant 23 in the amount of $405,577.99. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next time.
Do we need to do roll call because Kate's
I'm
on
sorry.
Zoom?
Roll call. I forgot a roll call. George? Just say aye. Susan? John Morris, aye.
Kate.
Kate,
Susan.
it's hard. Sorry, Kate.
I'll collect it all after, George.
Next item on the agenda is payroll journal number 435, the amount of $10,616.52.
I move that we approve payroll journal number 435 in the amount of $10,616.52.
Second the motion. The motion is to approve payroll journal number 435 in the amount of $10,616.52. How do you say, Kate Day?
Aye.
George? John Morris, aye. Next item on the agenda is select board meetings on minutes of Monday, March 23rd, 2026. I'll say you, George. You move to
I
accept?
move to accept the previous meetings minutes for March 23rd, 2026, regular meeting.
Second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of March 23rd, 2026. Is there any further discussion? I'll say you, Kate Day.
Aye.
George? John Morris, aye. Next item on the agenda is Public comment, non-agenda items. Thank you. Department head reports. Department head reports can be viewed on the website. Click on the department. The reports are there. George, any questions for department heads present? Kate, any questions for department heads present?
No.
Neither do I, and a report out by the select board. Kate, any report out?
Nope.
George? No. All right, next item on the agenda is edits to town meeting draft warrant.
And I'm gonna try to run through them. Quickly, I got them. Okay, I have to, Article 20, I have to fix that one. 904 was supposed to be struck and 908 was supposed to be kept in. So I've got to fix that.
Right.
That was a previous vote, so that was just my editing error there. I think you need to motion anything there. Article 27, adding the words up to, and the board needs to change their recommendation to $301,097. Is
I'll say you, Kate Day.
that a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
George? Yes. Joe? That's all right. She's raised her hand.
Okay.
Okay, so that's accepted.
Okay. I think we made it through that page, okay. Okay, Article 39. Let me get my Word documents. We're gonna look at changing the wording to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to expend up to $7.125 million towards the construction of a combined public safety and public works facility. This vote authorizes the select board to issue general obligation bonds or notes in a principal amount not to exceed $4 million, which bonds and notes may be made callable to pay costs to design, permit, construct, and equip a new fire station and public works facility, parentheses, the project. I would then be to expend up to $550,000 of available tax increment financing, parentheses, TIF revenues to pay project costs. 2, to apply for and accept state and federal grants, including up to $4 million in federal congressionally direct spending CDS funds to pay project. Oh, then we're gonna have to have a 3, which we're gonna talk, we've got to come up with a wording about donations. So I need to wordsmith that when my brain is a little bit better there.
Can we say gifts and donations, just?
Gifts, donations, I think we could say both. To pay project costs and reduce the amount of bonds or notes issued for the project. If the town does not receive CDS funds, the towns will not issue any bonds or notes for the project. We're going to go to the bond will not be issued until such a time as a combination of funds committed, including the bonding, equals $7.125 billion.
So that last sentence is struck.
That whole last sentence is struck. Okay, that is the language and still a little bit of rough form because I got to get the donations and the fundraising in. Okay.
I move we accept Article 39 as written.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Kate?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you. That was a lot of work. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I think there's still a little bit more on there, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It was a good discussion. Article 40, we are going to change the words fire department to public safety. We are going to add the words after grant writing and design and construction drawings necessary to obtain bids for the proposed co-located public safety. And we're going to change the funding from unassigned fund to raise and appropriate.
We're going to eliminate permitting.
And we're gonna, and permitting is struck, yes.
I move that we accept Article 40 as edited by Becky.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Kate?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Motion carries. Article 40 is in the book.
Okay, Article 41, we're gonna change the funding back to unassigned fund. So the raise and appropriate the sum of 350 will actually revert back to the language we had 2 weeks ago, which was up to transfer and appropriate up to 350 from unassigned funds. And then we're gonna add the approximate 4.98 acres after the MAP 5 lot 38 parentheses in line 2.
I move we accept Article 41 as edited by Becky.
Second it.
Moved and seconded to accept Article 41 as edited. Any further discussion? Kate?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to insert an article, and then I just grouped everything back about assessment of utilities, wording which we just talked about, and I packed up my paper. Here we go. Okay, to see if the town will transfer and appropriate up to $30,000 to begin, to contract with an expert to have periodic review of utility property. And then he did have for the sum not to exceed balance in the assessing and valuation account, but I don't think we need that. I think we can just leave it to begin the process of a periodic review of our utility values, town utility value or utility values. Something to that effect. I'll come up with something better in the morning.
Have to include for the purpose of assessing. It has to be-
Yes, yep, and yep, assessing, so his initial, Mr. Green's initials said, assessing expertise.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so I will wordsmith that a little bit better and have that ready.
Attach a number to that article, so we can make a motion.
So that will end up being Article 43 and subsequently every other article after will change.
I move we accept new Article 43 as written by Becky.
Second it.
Moving seconded. Any further discussion?
Just a question. So is that up to 30,000?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Aye.
And I agree. Article 43 is included.
I don't think,
Should be it, right?
I don't think we had anything else. I think that was all the edits.
Well done. Nice job. All right, next, item is poll application, Polling Range Road. George, you want to make a motion on that?
I move that we approve the poll application for Poland Range Road.
Second that motion. Is there any further discussion? This is a poll on Poland Range Road, starting at pole 35, number of poles 2, heading north, setting 2 poles marked with wooden grade stakes. The date today, anyway. Any further discussion?
Power going down to where there was never power before.
Power going to where there was never power before.
Approve?
Aye.
Motion carries. That goes into the, to Becky. Next item is election clerk oath. We have. Yikes.
So if you want to expedite the oath, all the terms are the same. You have Diane Holden as the registrar of voters, Kathy Hoag as the warden, and then everybody else is election clerk. So you could do it sort of in all one oath and then you get to sign after.
I move that we appoint Diane Holden as Register of Voters, Kathy Hoag as Warden of Elections, Kathy Wyatt, Liza Nichols, Jackie Vine, Bo Chesney, Fred Favreau, Liz Dolce, Heidi Richards, Tamara Bowden, Joan Rolfe, Andrew Wyatt, Judy Ballantyne, Douglas Robbins, Bill Bogart, Bradford Holden, Lois Beardsley, Nancy Doble, Emily Anderson, Kirsty Johnson, Diane Epstein, Kate Leroy, Diane Nelson, and John Morris as election clerks. Term begins 5/1/2026. Term ends 4/30/2028. Second that, George?
I second it.
Any discussions?
Is Nancy Doble still a citizen of Pownell? I think she moved.
Did you? Okay,
I think
look into
so.
that.
I think so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kate, you're getting out of a lot of handwriting. today. I'm not sure it wasn't planned.
Excellent. Believe me, I'd much rather be there than be sick.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is it pretendinitis or is it diabetes?
Yeah. Yes. If I know Becky, she'll make me sign them later.
It's always good to have all three, especially since you voted them in, but two at
Okay,
least.
I
Two
do
at
it.
least makes it official for me, so. And I'll let my OCD slide once in a while on lack of signature.
Wow, that's even without medication.
It's only because it's getting later and, we're tired. At least these are only every 2 years.
Pardon?
This list is only every 2 years, so.
I apologize for keeping it so late. I guess I'd rather stay late now than stay.
Yeah.
late now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was good discussions to have. That is the point of the public hearing, really to
We
get
want to
that.
consider. No, changing. Do we want to change the time of public town meeting? Do we want to make it start on the moment, like I've talked so much? Do we want to start it earlier?
Good. Right now it's set for 7 because we have a regular select board meeting. I don't think that would be much of adjustment. I've already secured the gymnasium at Pennell Elementary. With us,
We can talk about it.
we can talk about it we should probably, because I'm presenting you with a final draft on May 11th for signature because I have to post it the following week by new state statute, so.
If the discussion is, do we want to start the town meeting a little bit earlier because of the fire station? Do you think Warren starting it earlier, or do you think think 7 o'clock's a good thing because people will get tired and stop ours?
I'm okay with starting earlier. I think it's probably just mostly a question of people getting out of work and being able to come, but we have our regular meeting to begin. So are we talking about having the select board meeting at 6?
Yes.
It's usually a pretty I try to keep it a very
Doesn't take very long.
limited amount of items on that one, so we could do that when it's.
Let's leave it at 7.
Oh.
Bring sleeping bags. All right, next item is Public Historical Society heat pump request. We've done that.
We've done that.
Next item is volunteer form, Shane Brady, Planning Board.
Oh, sorry, planning board. So you actually have 2 volunteer forms for the planning board. One from Shane Brady, one from Bill Schmidt, who formerly was an alternate. And then we received the email request for Paul Kerrigan to step back into the alternate role too. So
How many alternates?
we have 1 spot.
I'm gonna move that we approve Paul Kerrigan back to the alternate.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is
Is
that sort of,
Go ahead, Kate.
is that normal protocol to do it that way?
Yeah, he stepped down because of a employment issue, and now he's back.
So he could resume his
Oh.
appointment.
He's just gonna resume his appointment.
Okay,
That's with approval from the chairperson.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I should have had a roll call. Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
George? John Morris, aye. Next item is, so we'll keep volunteer forms in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Annual town meeting report and dedication.
So, one of you needs to write the submission for the annual report. So looking for a volunteer from the board for
I'll do
that.
that. I'll
Okay.
write that. So I'll write that out.
Okay. So the first soft deadline, I think, was a week ago. So I've got to send a reminder out to everybody.
So when's your deadline for me?
So now I would say the end of next week would be fine. I just gotta have time. So once the warrant is signed on May 11th, it goes to the printer. So I'm just trying to finalize all
How
that.
about,
Dedication.
dedication?
I'm at a loss of the direction that we want to
We're
go.
trying to figure out who we can dedicate the town meeting to, or town warrant to. Do you know any residents that have passed?
I know a couple, but
Not.
none that had been on a committee or just I knew them from the counter. As probably morbid as this sounds, I could run a report in Vitals to just see, I will have to do it for the report anyway, but I don't.
Why don't we dedicate it to someone like Susan Bradstreet?
It could.
Because we're gonna have the North Pownell Community Center be part of Warren, and she was pretty instrumental in the North Pownell Community Club, which is part of the whole thing.
So a paragraph with, that would be great. Okay, yep.
Should go. I move that we dedicate the town, Warren to Susan Bradstreet. Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor, Kate?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Old business, any more new business? Any old business? Any correspondence? Great. Any other business?
One quick thing, so coming into election, absentee applications are available now for any residents. This year, we did create on the webpage, so if you go to administration and town clerk, there's a little elections tab, and we have a meet the candidates page where all our candidates have submitted a little bio.
Hey, good for you.
We talked about a potential sort of meet the candidates night. We thought this was a quick and easy way. Everybody just, embraced it. So the last submission came today, so that should be up by the end of the week. But residents of Pownell, if you want to know a little bit more about those that are running for the offices open, there's some information with some contact information for follow-up questions, should you have some.
Excellent. That's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, I have no other further business, so I move we adjourn.
Can we run into an executive session for just 5 minutes after? There's one piece we didn't tie up from the first one. Okay. Personnel matters.
Go to executive session. One, MRSA 4056A, personal matters. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. I just got it.